Trump just exploded at Netanyahu in one of the most shocking phone calls between two world leaders in recent memory. And what was said inside that conversation is sending shockwaves through Washington, Tel Aviv, and the entire Middle East. Here's what's really happening. On Monday, June 1st, 2026, President Donald Trump got on the phone with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And by all accounts, it did not go well, not even close. According to multiple U.S. officials who spoke to Axios, Trump was furious. And we're not talking about a stern diplomatic disagreement. We're talking about an expletive-filled confrontation where the President of the United States lit into one of America's closest allies in a way that almost nobody saw coming. Let's break this down, because there's a lot more going on beneath the surface here than just two leaders having a bad day. Netanyahu had ordered the Israeli military to strike Hezbollah targets in Beirut, specifically in the Dahieh district, which is a well-known Hezbollah stronghold in the southern suburbs of the Lebanese capital. Now, Israel had been ramping up its military operations in southern Lebanon for weeks, but this was different. This was a direct threat to Beirut itself. And that's when Trump reportedly picked up the phone and made his feelings crystal clear. One U.S. official summarized Trump's words to Axios, and what was reported is stunning. Trump allegedly told Netanyahu that he was acting recklessly, that he had been escalating in a completely disproportionate way, and that the growing civilian death toll in Lebanon was deeply disturbing. A second source briefed on the call said Trump was, quote, pissed, and at one point demanded to know what Netanyahu thought he was doing. The message, according to officials, was blunt and unmistakable: stand down. But here's what most people missed in this story, and this is where it gets really serious. The timing of these Israeli strikes wasn't just a military decision. It was potentially about to blow up something much bigger. Trump has been working intensively behind the scenes to broker a preliminary agreement with Iran, real negotiations, diplomacy that, if successful, could reshape the entire geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. And Netanyahu's escalation in Lebanon, threatening Beirut, expanding ground operations, demolishing entire buildings to take out a single Hezbollah commander, was putting all of that at risk in a matter of hours. Iran had already responded. Tehran threatened to walk away from negotiations with the United States entirely if Israel moved forward with strikes on Beirut. Think about what that means. Months of diplomatic groundwork, potentially on the verge of collapse, not because of anything the U.S. did, but because of decisions being made in Tel Aviv. That's the context Trump was operating in when he made that call. And according to officials, he made it very clear to Netanyahu that Israel's actions were isolating itself on the world stage, and that the optics of the civilian casualties were damaging not just to Israel's reputation, but to America's position in the region as well. Now, Trump publicly framed the call very differently. After hanging up, he posted on Truth Social calling it a productive conversation. He claimed that Israel and Hezbollah had agreed to stop attacking each other and that Israeli troops would not move on Beirut. He also said that Iran talks were, quote, continuing at a rapid pace. So on the surface, the White House was presenting a neat, tidy resolution. But Netanyahu told a different story. In his own statement after the call, the Israeli prime minister said he had informed Trump that if Hezbollah did not stop attacking Israeli towns and citizens, Israel would strike targets in Beirut, and that the Israeli military would continue operating in southern Lebanon, quote, as planned. That's not exactly the harmonious agreement Trump was describing on Truth Social. So which is it? Did Netanyahu agree to stand down, or is he pressing forward regardless? That tension between what Trump says happened and what Netanyahu says happened is exactly why people are watching this situation so closely. What we do know is this: Israel ultimately pulled back from the immediate threat to strike Beirut's Dahieh district. An Israeli official confirmed to Axios that those plans were shelved, at least for now. And Lebanon's ambassador to the United States confirmed that Hezbollah had accepted a U.S. proposal for a ceasefire framework. So there was movement, there was a result. But the underlying tensions are very much still there. One U.S. official told Axios this was among the worst calls Trump has had with Netanyahu since returning to the White House. That's not a small thing. These two leaders have navigated a lot of difficult moments together in the Gaza conflict, the Iran nuclear question, regional security coordination, and yet by the accounts of people in the room, this one crossed a line. Here's the bigger picture, and this is what really matters going forward. Trump is trying to thread an extraordinarily difficult needle right now. He wants to maintain a strong alliance with Israel. He wants to achieve a historic deal with Iran. He wants to restore calm in Lebanon. And he's doing all of this simultaneously while Netanyahu appears to be making unilateral moves that complicate every single one of those goals. The friction between Washington and Tel Aviv is real. It's escalating, and it's happening at a moment when the stakes could not be higher. The Middle East is at a genuine crossroads. A deal with Iran could change everything. A wider war in Lebanon could derail everything. And right now, a phone call between Trump and Netanyahu, explosive, raw, and reportedly unlike anything we've seen between these two, is sitting at the center of all of it. So the real question now is, can Trump hold the alliance together while also pursuing the diplomacy he needs? And does Netanyahu's defiance signal that Israel is prepared to go its own way regardless of what Washington wants? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this story is far from over.